Yo, what's going on, guys? Crispy Flakes here. Hope you guys are all having a fantastic day. For today's video, we are going to go through the question every NBA team has failed to answer in the 2019-2020 NBA season, and the hopes is to answer these questions, give you guys my thoughts and opinions, and of course, as always, give me your thoughts and opinions in the comment section below. But before we get going on this video, if you guys don't mind showing that crispy support and dropping a like on this video, man, the goal is always 1,000 likes, and of course, if you are new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button so you can help me grow the channel, because, bro, I'm gonna say straight up, man, I lost about, 8 pounds, over the past week or two, and I'm thinking, man, 300k subscribers, shirtless rebuild. Yeah, I'm gonna lose all my subscribers if that actually happens. But yeah, man, I definitely will not be at 300k for very long as soon as that happens. But here we go. Let's get going on this video. So for the Atlanta Hawks, we have how will Clint Capela fit in? And in my honest opinion, I think Clint Capela is the perfect center for this team. Now, originally, I wanted them to go for like a Steven Adams or for even Andre Drummond, but Clint Capela, is a guy that is going to play on the inside, set some hard picks, is going to, rebound the basketball very nicely and grab some offensive boards, kick it out to guys like Trae Young for the three. But the best part about him is that he is a very cheap option compared to like an Andre Drummond, who is going to ultimately probably get a smaller contract now. But even so, Clint Capela already has that small contract, so no contract issues with that. He'll be a great player for this team, man. I really don't see that being an issue whatsoever. John Collins is somebody that can play on the perimeter, so those two guys should really mesh well together. So yeah, I'm actually very excited to see how Clint Capela plays when the NBA season does come back. Next up, we got the Boston Celtics. Is Daniel Theis the answer at center? I do like Daniel Theis. I think he fits in nicely. I think that, for now, he definitely works as the starting center for this team. Now, assuming they get to the playoffs, well, they will get to the playoffs, obviously, but assuming like when the playoffs come back, if they struggle with big guys like Joel Embiid, then maybe you can see a guy like Daniel Theis being better served in a situational role off the bench, where it's like, okay, when they're doing smaller ball, Daniel Theis is a nice guy to have out there, but you still want that backup or even starting guy that can kind of handle some of the better big guys in the NBA, and I think that's kind of what they're liking more. I'm all for Daniel Theis being on this team. I think it's more so like Enes Kanter needs to be replaced, or maybe Robert Williams needs to come up and be that center, that DeAndre Jordan type that a lot of people think that he definitely could be out there. So yeah, I don't think Daniel Theis is a problem whatsoever. He actually is a really solid defensive center. Just the thing about him is that he doesn't really have that size of a traditional center, which in this day and age isn't really needed as much anyway. But no, he should definitely be fine for this team for many years to come. Next up, we have Brooklyn Nets. Can Jack Vaughn get the full-time job? My answer is probably not. And it's not saying he's a bad coach, but when you have guys like Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, those guys are going to be demanding more of a respected coach that can help him get to championship level. That's not saying that Jack Vaughn doesn't deserve a chance or deserve a chance somewhere. I just don't really think it's going to be the best choice for this Brooklyn Nets team. Just because, Kyrie and Kevin Durant, they definitely do have some very interesting personalities where things go south. Real quick, it would be the coach being the scapegoat of this. So I think they just need more of a veteran that can kind of handle some of those big personalities on the team. But that's nothing against him as a coach. I just think his chance is probably somewhere else on more of a rebuilding team. Next up, we got Charlotte Hornets. Is Devontae Graham a star or a six-man? This is interesting. When it comes to Devontae Graham, I think he is a third option on a championship team. I don't think, because you guys got to remember, for many years, this team had Kemba Walker. Kemba Walker is one of the best point guards in the NBA, and he was unable to get them past like the 8th seed. So I can't see a guy like Devontae Graham coming on this team now. One of the most improved players this season, by the way, and really leading this team to anything. So it comes down to, do you want another Kemba Walker where he is putting up really nice numbers, but it's not really leading to anything? Or do you want to use him more in a situational role and go for some of the bigger names out there? He can be a part of your team, but not really the main piece. Because I really think that I definitely don't think he's a six-man. Like, yes, in certain situations, he could be like a Lou Williams type of guy, but I think he definitely should be a starter in the NBA. I just don't think he can be your star player and your best player. So, I don't know, man. No disrespect to him. I think he's a great player. It's just kind of my mindset towards him. Next up, we have Chicago Bulls. What position should be addressed in the draft? Oh, man. I would probably have to say it's a very point guard heavy draft. So it comes down to, do you think Kobe White can be a leader of this team? Can he be the main guy, or is he going to be more of like a scorer off the bench for this career? I really think it can go either direction with him. Of course, the small forward position is something to look at because Otto Porter, I think Otto Porter should actually re-sign with the Bulls, but on a more friendly contract. He can definitely be a nice piece of this team, but it comes down to what he's actually worth on the market and what other teams are willing to pay him. And then, of course, you got the power forward position with Lauri Markkanen. I do think that this Bulls team should come back completely intact next season and see how they do, with new management and a new coach and stuff like that. So I think as far as position, you go best player available. It doesn't matter what position that is. And you see how that guy does, and you kind of see where we're at a year from now, and you kind of go from there. But I definitely would not be drafting for position because they're pretty much set at every position. It's just, by getting the best available, you can see if that player outshines somebody else. And then look at that, man. You got really good trade value, too, for having another player on the team. Next up, we got the Cleveland Cavaliers. Does Andre Drummond fit the rebuild? Yes, for the right price. Andre Drummond is not a bad player. The issue with Andre Drummond is that, for the reason why the Pistons couldn't get anything for him, why they ended up getting Brandon Knight in a second-round draft pick or whatever the hell was John Henson for him, is because in Andre Drummond's mindset, he's going to want a max contract. I don't think he gets that. I don't think a team will offer him the max contract. I do think he should get a contract around what Clint Capela is making out there. It's just where that type of position's at these days with those type of centers. So yeah, for the right price, he fits the rebuild. If he's going out there asking for a max contract, it's not worth it. It's just not worth it because you will be stuck as a mediocre team like the Detroit Pistons were since they really drafted Andre Drummond. So, for the right price, he's definitely a good center to have with some of these other, with some of these guards on this team and stuff like that, but I wouldn't give him more than, $14-15 million a season. So, yeah. All right, next up, we got the Dallas Mavericks. Are the Mavericks under or overrated? I definitely don't think they're overrated. As far as, I think they are actually completely perfectly rated. They're around like the 4th to 6th seed in the Western Conference as of right now. Of course, that's always fluctuating based off who wins and loses. But, Luka Doncic is an MVP caliber player. Like, he's proven that already. Kristaps Porzingis continues to get better every single game. And as far as their role players, they have, that's what I love about the Mavericks, is that they have players that are just willing to sacrifice and play their role. Like, they know exactly what they're doing out there. And it's really hard to get a team full of guys like that. So I do think they need one more piece, like that third guy. I don't know if that comes in the form of a center or maybe a point guard. And then Luka, plays the shooting guard / small forward position. Tim Hardaway's been having a career year for them. So I think they're properly rated. I don't think they're quite ready to win a championship. I wouldn't go that far. But also, I don't think they're going to be like a 7th seed or anything like that. They'll just be like in the mix for many years to come. Next up, we have Denver Nuggets. Is Michael Porter Jr. ready for a starting job? I would say yes, sooner rather than later, because I do think they need that third star on this team besides Jokic or Jamal Murray. What the Denver Nuggets do have going for them is that they are an extremely young team, so it's not like they have this small window where Jokic is 33 and Jamal's 32 and they need to win now. No, they could be just a really solid team for the next 7 years. So the quicker you get Michael Porter in there, the quicker you can analyze his game and see how he exactly fits in with this team. And if not, then you move on from him. But I don't see why, because you look at, the small forward position, typically run a Torrey Craig out there, or they had that Juancho Hernan-Gomez, although I think he's actually on the T-Wolves now. Paul Millsap's older. So, I would say give Michael Porter a job, the starting job, and see what happens. And if it doesn't work out, well, then, hey, before you go off and sign this guy to a contract after his rookie deal's up, you kind of already know what's going on with him. Next up, we have the Detroit Pistons. How to approach next season. Man, that's kind of a loaded question because, if we trade Blake Griffin right now, which is going to be nearly impossible to do because he's injury prone, he's got a large contract, you're going to get a same type of trade as they got for Andre Drummond. Derrick Rose has 1 year left on his deal, just came off of probably his best season in who knows how many years, right? But it's okay, how far is this team going to go with those guys? Because assuming, for me personally, I want them to go out there and draft the best point guard available. Let's assume that's LaMelo Ball. I'm not saying it will be, but let's assume it is. Then I would love for Derrick Rose to mentor whoever that point guard is going to be, even if it's just for a season. But at the same time, Derrick Rose, Blake Griffin is going to be good for at least a plus 10 to 15 wins on the season. So really, you're slowing down the rebuild because as constructed, let's put out the best lineup of Derrick Rose, Luke Kennard, let's say Sekou Demboya, Blake Griffin, and Christian Wood, that's not like a bad team. Like, that's a fun team to watch, assuming nobody gets injured, but it's not really going to get you anywhere. So I'm kind of on the boat of just really embracing this full-on tank. You know, get what you can for Blake Griffin, Derrick Rose, tank this next season, have a ton of cap space freed up, assuming you can trade Blake Griffin for expiring contracts and kind of go from there. And I wouldn't even be as opposed to packaging these guys together to a contending team. You know, like the Lakers, you got, of course, the Bucks, Miami, a team like that, because if you think about it, with how little money Derrick Rose is being made, if a team were to acquire both players, it's essentially, like combining their contracts together and getting both players out of it. So I would kind of lean towards doing that and just embracing the rebuild, having cap space for 2021. Next up, we got Golden State Warriors. Can Andrew Wiggins be reprogrammed? I feel like Andrew Wiggins, the way he's been playing the past few years, has been fine. Obviously, he has not been a great player, very, very inefficient, but, given the circumstance, there wasn't really a lot of scoring options on the Timberwolves. I don't think he's, some unprogrammable player where it's he's going to go on the Warriors and ruin everything by shooting 40 times a game, because that just wouldn't happen. But I do think that if Andrew Wiggins can embrace that Harrison Barnes type of role that made the Golden State Warriors so great, a few years back when they won a historical amount of games, that would be perfect. But, Wiggins has not really ever played with a great leader. So by having Curry, Clay, and Draymond Green, I think Wiggins will be completely fine. I don't see him being an issue whatsoever. It's just a matter of if is his play style, who he is as a player, is that what the Warriors need? We'll kind of see, right? Next up, we got Houston Rockets. Can small ball work in the playoffs? Yes. I don't have any issue with the small ball. I wish this team was better equipped to handle some larger ball lineups, though, because it seems like they are going all into the small ball, where they don't really have any centers on the team outside of Isaiah Hartenstein and really old ass Tyson Chandler. So that's what kind of makes me nervous, is that, okay, when there comes a circumstance in the playoffs where small ball just isn't working for whatever matchup reasons, what's plan B? They don't really have one. So that makes me a little nervous about it. But it definitely can work. It's just, can it win them a championship, which for James Harden at this point in his career has to be the number one priority. All right, we got Indiana Pacers. Is Victor Oladipo really back? Let's see. It said he's only played 13 games. It doesn't really have his... Okay, and in his 8 games since coming back from the quad injury, Oladipo particularly struggled. He's averaging 11 points, 2 rebounds, and 2.6 per game, assists per game, while shooting 33%. So... yeah, honestly, if anybody is going to, I guess, benefit from this NBA shutdown, it's going to be a Victor Oladipo, just because this is going to, once things get back to normal, it's going to give him a chance to get some more reps with his team, of course, just work on his game and stuff like that. But it's going to take time. I mean, is anybody running off Kristaps Porzingis for missing 2 years? No, we're not. So I don't think we should do the same for Victor Oladipo. I don't think we'll see an all-star Oladipo this season. I just think it's going to, it's just too much oddity going on right now. But next year, I totally expect Oladipo, just with his working mindset, to get back to his all-star form. I don't see why he wouldn't. Next, we got the Clippers. Is number 1 seed still within reach? Well, at this point, no, because there's probably not going to be a regular season. Now, assuming a regular season does come back, I don't see why it wouldn't be. Now, if things were going as normal, I would say probably not, just because the Clippers' mentality and lack of really having an issue with load management, I think that they would definitely sacrifice a few W's out there to give guys like Kawhi Leonard or Paul George the appropriate rest going into playoffs. But I just don't think it's going to happen, because I don't think there's going to be a regular season. I think if we do see NBA again, it's going to maybe be, you might have the 7th and 8th seeds have a play-in tournament or something like that, or the 7th, 8th, 9th seed have a play-in tournament, something like that, to determine those last few playoff spots. But besides for that, I think it's going to be pretty well known which guys are going to be seated where at. All right, for the Lakers, can LA finish with the NBA's best record? I mean, pretty much exactly what I said about the Clippers. Memphis Grizzlies, how does Justice Winslow fit? This is interesting, man. I like John Morant a lot what he does at the point guard position. You definitely want the ball in his hands. I think Justice Winslow needs to continue to work on his three-point shot, and if he can be a guy that can play off-ball, off of John Morant, he'll definitely flourish. But what I like about Justice is his ability to really make plays for others. So I think there's definitely room for that in the offense, especially a Ja can play off of Justice, right? So yeah, I think he definitely fits in, especially age-wise and everything. He fits in right with the rebuild of the Memphis Grizzlies. He's like 6'8", he's got good height. I would definitely take him over Kyle Anderson. Yeah, he fits in nicely. I don't really see why he wouldn't. For the Miami Heat, can Jimmy Butler be the best player on a title team? I'm going to lead this off with no, because he doesn't need to be. I think next year he will put up great numbers. But I think it's going to be Bam's team. I really think Bam is going to continue to grow as a player, while Jimmy Butler, we kind of know the stat line we're going to get from him, and I think he's okay with letting, Bam be the number one star. So realistically, Jimmy's going to be that second guy out there. But yeah, I think that Jimmy's in a good spot. I think he has really good teammates. Tyler Hero is going to be even better next year. Kendrick Nunn. So I just don't think he needs to be the best player, and I think the Miami Heat would actually be better because of that, with him playing off of some of the other guys. Milwaukee Bucks, is Dante DiVincenzo the secret weapon? I would say any real NBA fans know that Dante is not really a secret. This guy is a fantastic basketball player. I love him at that 2 spot, playing with Chris Middleton and Giannis, of course. I mean, he can literally do everything. Extremely athletic player, can shoot the 3 ball. So I don't really think he's much of a secret. I like everything he brings to the team. So he's definitely a nice piece to the Bucks' future. Well, it says last 4 games practice best, averaging 16 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists per game. Yeah, he's fantastic. Next up, has D'Angelo Russell finally found a home? Yes, I think he has, guys. I think that we are going to see D'Angelo Russell be part of Minnesota for many, many years to come. Him and Karl-Anthony Towns have a great relationship. I guess ultimately, if Cat decided he wanted to play elsewhere, sure, you could see that. You could see D'Lo maybe leaving eventually. But no, man. I don't think the T-Wolves, no offense to them as a franchise, I just don't think they're really in a market to trade away an all-star caliber player like D'Angelo Russell, as opposed to, the Lakers, who were a big market team trying to make some changes years ago. The Brooklyn Nets, of course, were getting Kyrie Irving. The Golden State Warriors already had Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. He is a guy that is needed on this Timberwolves team. He wasn't really needed anywhere else he was at before. So, yeah, I think he's found himself a long-term place. And I'm really hoping he has some good success over there. I'm really hoping Timberwolves fans have some success, because it's been a long time coming. New Orleans, is Lonzo Ball approaching star status? So over his last 16 games, Ball averaged 14.7 rebounds, 8 assists per game, 2 steals, and shot 46% from 3 on 6 attempts. Well, yeah, if he's doing that, that's definitely star status. See, and the thing about Lonzo Ball is, what people have to realize is that he's not going to give you 20, 30 points per game. He's just not that type of player. You got to look at the grand scheme of things. And what I see with this stat line is I see Jason Kidd. I see what Jason Kidd used to do for many years, on the multiple teams he was on. And I think Lonzo Ball can be that same type of player. So he is going to be the perfect number 3 for this Pelicans team. Him, Zion, and Ingram, watch out, guys. In a few years, that team is going to be contending sooner rather than later for some championships. And I'm happy for Lonzo Ball. I think he's a great player. I've always been on his side as somebody that really showed a lot of promise, and I've never really wrote him off in the first place. New York Knicks, was RJ Barrett the right pick? Yeah, RJ Barrett, especially starting off the season, was showing some really good signs. Really good rebounding guard, too. I really like what he does there. It's just that, we can't because the thing about some of these rookies is that we destroy their confidence so quickly because they're not playing where we want them to be playing right away. I think RJ Barrett, we got to realize that, he's not going to be Zion or John Morant, next year, or probably even the year after that. He's going to be a few years away. This team has to continue to rebuild around him and get some other players and stuff like that. But I think he was the right pick, man. I really like RJ Barrett, and I think he could be a great guard, or really guard/wing player for the New York Knicks for a very long time. Hero, Garland, PJ Washington, Rui Hachimura, White. I still would have took Barrett over all those guys. Hero is a really nice player, but I think RJ Barrett, just besides scoring, has a way higher ceiling than a Hero does. OKC Thunder, should Chris Paul still be traded? Yes, but for the right price. The OKC Thunder are in a situation where they have $1 billion draft picks. They have really nice young players already. They don't really need to tank their roster to get better draft picks because of the draft picks they already have. Thing about Chris Paul is that he's at least going to make basketball fun for the OKC Thunder fans, which is big time, man, because he's still selling tickets and doing stuff like that. You're not going to win a championship, but he's going to have you fighting for that 8th, 6th, 7th, 8th spot at least. So it's like, it keeps basketball enjoyable. Now, he doesn't have really that many years left, so I mean, I could see where they would want to trade him away and free up the cap space and maybe try to get some younger players, but it's really a matter of what OKC Thunder fans want. It's like, do you want to go full on tank and continue to develop Shea and all those guys, or do you just want to have like a somewhat competitive basketball team? Orlando Magic, what's the future of the center position? This is actually, man, this is quite the question here, guys. Man, I think they need to take a chance on Mo Bamba, and I think they need to trade Vucevic away. One team I would love to see Vucevic go to is the Golden State Warriors. I feel like he'd be a perfect fit over there, or maybe even the Milwaukee Bucks. Just because Vucevic is like 30 years old, great center. It's just for how many more years, though. He does have a bad injury history, which definitely can catch up with him, as he progresses in age. And, Markel Fultz is a young player. Jonathan Isaac's a young player. Chuma Okeke, young player, has not even played a game yet. So, I mean, Vucevic doesn't really fit their rebuild as opposed to a Mo Bamba. I mean, I'm certain Magic fans are about ready to start winning some games out there, but Vucevic isn't really going to get this team farther than like the 8th seed anyway, so I would embrace the rebuild and give Mo Bamba a chance and kind of just see what happens. Philadelphia, will bully ball work in the playoffs? I mean, it is the 76ers. I think the 76ers are a great team. We went completely healthy and everybody's really playing up to par and everything like that. Yeah, I think it's bully ball. I don't really have an issue with it. I don't really have an issue with the 76ers whatsoever. I don't really have a lot to say about this topic, man. I mean, I think the 76ers are fine. They're not my favorites to win the Eastern Conference, but I also don't think they'll be first-round exits. Phoenix Suns, win will potential equal wins? I mean, how much more potential do we need? It's not really about potential. Like these guys are like DeAndre Ayton's already a really good center. Devin Booker's already one of the best shooting guards in the NBA. The potential has been met. It's not about the potential of the young guys. It's about the rest of the roster. It's about the GM doing a good job of getting some veterans on the team and not just getting Ricky Rubio is a good point guard. I don't know if he's the perfect point guard to play alongside Devin Booker is kind of what I'm getting at, because, if Devin Booker's handling the basketball, then Rubio, people are going to sag off of him and leave him wide open. I think they need like a Devontae Graham or somebody like that. They just need some more veteran pieces and some better working pieces with their, young duo already of Devin Booker and DeAndre Ayton. Then they'll start getting more wins, of course. Portland Trail Blazers, will reinforcements be enough for a playoff run? It's difficult because I think Nurkic, you don't just come back from a broken leg, especially in playoff intensity situation. Unfortunately, while I do think the Portland Trail Blazers could be interesting because I do think that Damian Lillard has the potential to have one of those legendary playoff runs, but that's, assuming that Damian's playing up to par, and of course he will be. Now, if you are relying on these guys coming off major injuries, I just don't really think it's in the cards or the stars for this season. So, no, next year I think they'll be fine, but this year, I don't know, man. I just feel like this team's had way too many injuries to really, I don't know. But you always say about Portland, they always come back and surprise you. So, who knows, man. Damian Lillard, as long as he's on your team, anything can really happen. Sacramento Kings, what does Buddy Hield's future hold? Probably trade it away. I mean, he's on like a 4-year contract. I think there's teams out there that would better utilize him. He doesn't seem happy in a 6-man role, nor should he be. And they need a few different positions out there anyway. They need some more depth. They need a more stabilized, really, roster in general. And I think Buddy Hield has some pretty good trade value. So, yep, I think his future just holds being traded to a new team. San Antonio Spurs, what will DeMar DeRozan do with this player option? My prediction is that he declines it. And I don't know, man. DeMar's an interesting situation because if he goes out there and he realizes his market is not as much as a player option is going to be, which of course it won't be because that's just kind of how the NBA is now with his type of play style. So it's like I could see him cashing in and getting, $27 million, whatever it is this season, and then really test the free agency. But it really comes down to, does he want the money or does he want to win? Because he's not really going to win a championship with the Spurs But at the same time, this would be a good opportunity for maybe him to lock up a 3 or 4 year deal, because his value after this next season could go down even farther. So I really don't have a legitimate answer for this question. Toronto Raptors, is a repeat a real possibility? Oh, man. I feel bad because I really to start the season, I was kind of hating on the Toronto Raptors, and I feel bad about it. Man, can the Toronto Raptors repeat? My gut feeling is actually yes. I think they could, because I think they are just as good as any team in the Eastern Conference, and I think they have the depth to really compete with anybody in the Western Conference. Now, if they were to go against a Lakers or a Clippers team, they definitely would not be my favorites in the series. But, man, they got so much just good veteran talent and just good versatility on that team. I think they could do it, man. I really do think Toronto could win another championship, especially with the way Pascal Siakam's been playing. Which version of Mike Conley will show up in the playoffs? Well, I think Mike Conley is a bit more comfortable these days with his team. He's really not actually my biggest concern with Utah Jazz. It's going to be the chemistry of Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert. I do think they're grown-ass men, so they should be fine and be able to play through things. But it'll be interesting. As far as Mike Conley, though, goes, I think he'll be fine. I don't think we'll ever see Memphis Grizzlies Mike Conley again, but as long as he's not really the reason why they're losing games and he's just being a good serviceable third or fourth option, he'll be completely fine. And then finally, how long will Bradley Beal's patience last? I think next season he's actually going to be pretty committed to the Washington Wizards, just because getting John Wall back, getting in a good draft pick, hopefully getting some good free agents out there. I think he'll be like, hey, let's give this a shot, see how things go. I could see next season, if it's a complete failure and they're not winning games, then of course you probably request a trade by the trade deadline. But I will say, based off how the first half of next season goes, will determine the future of Bradley Beal. So here we go, guys. That is the end of the video. My throat hurts, man. It's a lot of bitch-ass talking right there. But I hope you guys all did enjoy this video. If you did watch the entire thing, let me know in the comment section below, man, so I can heart your comments. Thank you all so much for watching, and peace out, my friends.